Alright, what I want to do is to walk you through an elasticity of demand, or a couple problems just kind of start to finish about showing the graphs and just kind of connecting everything together in terms of revenue tests and what happens when price changes and all sorts of stuff. So let's take the Toyota Camry for example. So if we go down our checklist in the slideshow of kind of like what makes a good have a more elastic demand or more inelastic demand, Toyota Camry checks kind of a lot of boxes in terms of being more elastic demand. And the key is, it's not like the Camry is elastic. You know, we don't say that the good or the service is elastic. We say more that what we need to say is either that there's an elastic demand for Toyota Camrys, or Toyota Camrys are price elastic. But that's the way that we phrase it, is not the good being elastic, but the demand or the price being elastic. So first off, the Toyota Camry features a high percentage of budget. So that means that consumers are going to be much more mindful of the price. And if it goes on sale, they're more likely to buy it. There are many good substitutes because there are lots of different cars in terms of what they could buy instead of a Camry. They could buy a Corolla. They could buy one of the Ford cars, one of the Chevy cars, one of the Ram cars, one of the Nissan cars. There's lots of substitutes available. We consider cars to be a luxury. It's not something that we absolutely need. You know, we could take Ubers, we could take Lyfts, we could ride our bike, we could walk to work, we could bus or train to work. So it's considered more of a luxury than a necessity. It is very specific because it's a Camry versus just a Toyota versus just a car. And the time aspect is usually difficult, the time frame, so we don't know if somebody needs the car right now because their car broke down and they have to get to work tomorrow, so the time frame doesn't play much of a role in that regard. So with the Camry having an elastic demand, and just kind of focusing on that part of things, that kind of leads us to the total revenue. So when there's a change in price, what that means is that when the price of the Camry fluctuates, that there's going to be a much greater change in quantity. And technically speaking, what we want to say is it's not about the change in price versus the change in quantity, it's about the percentage change in each. So the percentage change in price is going to be less than the percentage change in quantity. So when we look at the equation, that again in IB we don't need to deal with, but what this is stating is that the numerator, the percentage change in quantity, is going to overpower the percentage change in price, which means for the AP extension that the coefficient for anything that has an elastic demand is going to be greater than 1. So now when I'm looking at this in terms of the total revenue method, so what do I want to express when this happens? That there's going to be downward pressure on the price of Toyota Camrys because at lower prices they're going to sell a lot more, which is going to lead to total revenue increasing. And vice versa, if they keep raising the price of Camrys, that's going to mean less revenue because a lot less people are going to buy it and they're going to change to other substitutes. So it's those factors of the Toyota Camry that make it elastic that affects the total revenue that producers are going to make depending on what or how they change price, either upwards or downwards. So what that means graphically is that that people are sensitive, consumers are sensitive to the price changes for Camrys, and so therefore when price changes, quantity is going to change a lot, and that's going to flatten out the demand curve. So that if the price were to decrease, so here's our, let's say just an original price. If price decreases just a little bit, and again I've elongated the curve out to really exaggerate this, when the price changes a little bit, it's going to change quantity a lot. And if we notice that consumers are going to become a lot better off at lower prices as well because this consumer surplus area was here and now it's extended out to include a much larger portion. As now, with the lower price, people enjoy that, and they're going to buy a lot more products, and so therefore they're going to benefit a lot greater, and consumer surplus is going to grow when the price lowers. That's a lot. So to go a bit quicker through a good that has a more inelastic demand, like gasoline. If we look at our checklist, certainly the thing that sticks out is there are not a lot of substitutes for gasoline in terms of what you currently drive. Now, sure, over a long time, if gasoline prices go up to $10, $15, $20 a gallon or farther, a lot of people are going to switch and not need gas more. But currently, those with cars are going to need gas because most cars right now run with gas. And so if you have a gas-powered car, you need gas, and therefore there are no good substitutes currently. So the other part of that would be that gasoline, for those people who drive, is pretty much a need from the standpoint of if you use your car, you need gas. And so both of those kind of contribute to the fact that gasoline has a more inelastic demand. So with that, what we're saying is that if we look at that, the percentage change in quantity versus percentage change in price basically means that with a large percent change in price comes a smaller percent change in quantity. So if price changes a lot, let's say gas prices rise by 20%, that means that there's not going to be an equivalent amount of quantity change, that people may only buy 1% less gas. So yeah, maybe they're going to, cancel that road trip. Maybe they're going to carpool once a week to work if there's a 20% rise in price of gas, but most consumers are just going to kind of be stuck paying that price increase. So if we look at total revenue, there's going to be upward pressure on price from the suppliers, from the producers, because higher prices mean higher revenue, because people aren't really going to change their habits. And likewise, if they lower the price of gas, which is why you don't see, sales on gas anytime, is because lower prices mean lower revenue. And so graphically, if we look at the price-quantity relationship for the inelastic demand, it is more vertical. The one thing you can do to remember which curve is more inelastic or elastic, if the concept eludes you for some reason, is the more inelastic demand, you can simply dot the I and it becomes a, I for inelastic. So let's start here. Okay, people buy gas, raise price a lot. Quantity doesn't change very much. So consumers are just kind of stuck paying that price.